All right. Welcome to the last of these demos where we're doing the cartography and sort of map visualizations and things like that. As you can see, I've already gone ahead and created my Lab 13 project file and everything like that. There is some sample data that's been provided. You're not required to use it in any way. In fact, for the assignment, if you're following along on that part, you shouldn't use that part. But what you do want to do is just add something in so we have something to visualize. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got a catalog window over here. I'm just going to go in through my folders into Lab13 Cartography. And I'm just going to bring over the soils one that we worked with before. This is just another copy of the same one that was provided. And what you see is that we almost immediately have our map come up just fine like that. I'm going to leave it like that right now. The way that ArcGIS Pro works is we have two different types of viewers. One of them is like this. It's just sort of a data viewer. It's a map. It's everything like that. And another one that we haven't worked with so far is that there is a layout view up here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add in one of those layout views. When you do that, you get a choice of what size and shape you want it. Often you'll want the things that are sort of landscape viewed. These are the sort of classic styles. There's also the sort of European styles, and then just other sort of big things. You can also just create a totally custom one if you want to. But I'm just going to go ahead and start off with a letter size right here. And that's going to basically bring up a new blank canvas for me. You can think of this as sort of exactly like a print preview. And I can add in all sorts of stuff that I might want to do. And once I've added that in, I can kind of zoom around on it. So we have one map here, and we're going to add in, so we have one map that we have created the tab on here. And we could create a map frame that would allow us to add that in there. And we can do this for any number of different maps that we have open as tabs along the top. So the first thing I might want to do is just choose my first map is just called map. If it had a real name, it'd be on there. I can do the default extent for it, or I can do the extent that it's currently zoomed at. They're about the same in this case, but I'm just going to do the one that it's currently zoomed at. And then it comes up and I have this little like crosshair arrow thing. I'm using this to sort of drag the space that I want that map on. So if I do that, it's now come in just as it was there. I have tools over here that look a lot like my table of contents. They're not exactly the same. I can make this smaller or larger if I want by sort of hitting the edges. If I hold down Shift, it'll scale it sort of as with the same aspect ratio. So just know that. What I can do over here is I can change things like the symbology. So if I wanted to change this here, I just clicked on it in the table of contents over there. From single symbol to unique values for the soils, which is what I probably would want to do, and then add them all in. I can do that right there. It'll change it here. It'll also change it back in the map. So I'm kind of working on the same map over here. They're going to be linked between them in a lot of ways. We do have the ability when we're creating a map frame to do other shapes and sizes as well. I didn't really play with mine particularly much, but you could do things that are a little bit more different shapes if you needed to. Other things we can do are we can, if we wanted to zoom to something, we could. What it doesn't let us do if we start using the mouse wheel and things like that is it lets us kind of zoom onto the page. So we're on a print preview. You can see that the size of things stayed basically the same. We could turn off layers if we wanted. So right now with the soil map, I don't really need the things that are behind it. They're just taking up space to do. And you notice that that text that comes with them that says that they're, an Esri layer disappears after that. We can start inserting also, I was on the same thing there. If we wanted to do zooming in and out on stuff, we can't really do particularly much with it until we right click on it here and choose, on it here and choose activate. Now this is exactly like we were doing it on the map viewer over there. So now I can zoom in on the actual layer itself. Now I could, I always could, but now I can right click and zoom to layer a little bit more elegantly. And get it fit in there the way that I might want it to be. I think I was zoomed slightly further in like that before. So to get out of this sort of activation thing, you just go back like that. Other things we want to do, we've talked about before, we're doing things like north arrows. You just click here, or I'm on the insert tab up here. And I can go drag down an area. And once I'm in there, I can double click on it, and it'll give me all the things I could set about it. So what visibility I want it viewed at, what it's linked to, if it's linked to the map frame, if it's linked to other things, if it's a true north, or if it's a magnetic north, or if it's, well, map north is the same in this case. And I can also change the symbol as well. So if I click on these, I can get into a whole range of different symbols and things like that. So there's quite a lot, as I was saying in class, there's quite a lot of these north arrows. They're up here to get to them to begin with. And then I can choose which one I'm using. That's the easiest way to do it. Same thing is true with scale bar. If I clicked on it here, I could also choose in the drop down different ones. I kind of like the just alternating simple ones. Feel free to use whichever one you want. I always like metric better, but that's okay if you choose the other ones at this point. So the alternating one like this is what I prefer. And then I always just sort of drag them along like this. It comes in and it's got this really weird thing where it divides them up in all sorts of strange ways. I also would usually just do km instead of kilometers. The label position is after the bar. So on this tab of it right here, you can get to things about what happens if you change the size of it. I personally like to adjust the number of divisions, and then I set my division to be like 1 kilometer. Oops, sorry, 1 kilometer. Now it's set like that. It's going to ask me about subdivisions. Usually I would start removing those so that it's just, there's only one subdivision per thing. And then I also don't really like the number frequency to be like that. I wouldn't put it at the first midpoint. I would just put it at divisions. So it's sort of up to you to how you do these things, but that's kind of the style that I prefer. This is a little bit like when you start putting these things down, it is a little bit like Illustrator or one of these graphics or PowerPoint, one of these graphic designy things. If I hold down Control and select two things, I can start to like align them together. So if I wanted to align those things to the left, I could. It's whatever second comes. I could distribute them as I drag this thing around. It'll sort of jump to the corners and that kind of thing. So sometimes you want them set sort of down like that. In that particular case, I'm not thrilled about that. I might go move it in just a little bit. But you can sort of see how that works. All right. Another thing we can do is insert that legend that we talked about. It's up here. You click on legend. You could do it in the drop down as well, depending on sort of different types you might want. In this case, the legend is going to be enormous because it's all these soil classes. I drag it across the bottom like that. Other things that I might want to do when I've created something like this, if I go in up here in my layout, I now have a legend here. I can turn things off and on. I can actually get to the properties for it here. I don't know if I really need the layer name so much as just the heading there. If I go in through here, I can change that if I just slowly double click on it. I can also do it other places, but if I just wanted to remove that space, that'll do it. You can see it removes it live over there. If I wanted to do something with these things, I could. If I want to remove this all other values, because there are no other all other values, I actually do that over in the symbology here. So I just got to get to the symbology for this one. So I'm in my primary symbology. I'm just going to go all the way down and turn that off. You see, as soon as that thing's gone, the spacing gets a lot better on it. So sometimes with legends, it's better to sort of remove the soil code part of it and put it on as text, that kind of thing. There's all sorts of different tricks you can do to sort of make these things really, really nice. I'll leave it up to y'all to sort of explore them a little bit. Oh, I guess I could have actually turned it off here too, the all other values. When it comes to adding grid marks on the map frame as well, that's another one we talked about. If I wanted to do that, I'm going to come up here to this part. And I'm going to click on the map frame up on the insert. And I have grid right here. Sorry, it's sort of hidden from me. And then I have my choice of whether I want to do a measured or a gradical or even both. So I put one grid on, I've got that like that. I could begin to set sort of the divisions and things like that. So right now it's set to be every, I don't know, looks like every 30 seconds. If I wanted to come through and change that, I can get it. Right now it's on an interval like this. They're synced. I could begin to turn that off and move things around. Could also make it so that only some of them are visible at any given moment. So there's lots of different options that I can sort of play around with in here. If I have tables and graphs, I can always go to on my insert up here. Probably the easiest way to do it is if I go to insert table frame. I've got some different nice ways I can do this. If I had a summary table or something like that, I could do that. In this case, I don't actually have a table, so maybe I would want to show the attribute table for the soils here, in which case I can just drag it right into there. So in the table section, so table frame, there should be source on here. Yeah, table frame gallery shows us the different types. So I can get my tables into there if I just do. So one way I could do that is just to. No, it's not letting me do it the way that I thought it would. Table frame. Oh, source is right here. Jeez, I'm sorry. The table is right there. I wanted the attribute table right there. So it got pushed off to the right side, and I wasn't seeing it. So if I wanted to, I could have the table. If I'd had my summary, like a summary table or something like that in here, I could get it. This particular one is not great. It's got this little thing that's showing it's too big. But you can see how you can get the tables on there pretty seamlessly. You can do the same sort of thing from insert with charts. So you could do a chart frame. And then if you have any charts built, again, it's going to be over on a source thing. You would sort of make them there and get them pushed in. So easy to do if you have the charts already built. So if you want, what you could do here is if you go into an attribute table and create the chart, you can then insert that onto the chart frame. So if I was in here and I went to my attribute table and I went to, I don't know, create a chart with the average area. I can then get this thing and put it onto the actual layout as well. So this is basically how you create these charts and what you would do with them to get them pulled on. All right. So another thing we can do, I'm going to just create one more new map because I also want to go ahead and add in one of these other layers that we had, which was the soil or the things that are at like a national scale. So I'm just going to add in U.S. cities as well, just to give us a kind of a bigger scale view. And I'm going to kind of zoom in on the Midwest a little bit here. And I'm going to create one more new layout. We'll go landscape letter this time. I'm going to add in that second map frame there. And I also want to, I'm just going to add in another one, which is the first one. Just because I talked before in class, this isn't necessarily in the demo notes quite as well, but I talked before about linking these two things together. And one thing we can do is create that sort of link where it's showing the offset or like the inset map from one on the other. So to do this from one to another, we basically just come in, and then when we're on the insert, there's this extent indicator. That's really all it takes is to then just link that to map frame one. And now we're seeing the extent of one on the other. We could do both of them if we needed to. But I think that what's happening is this is just so small that we can't see it right there. But there is an indicator, yeah, right there. Sorry, this one I maybe zoomed it in a little too much. One way to solve that would be if I wanted to go here into the one that's actually the sort of bigger one, and I wanted to go activate it and zoom myself in. That thing is dynamic. It should then start showing me where it is, sort of on a larger scale. And when I come out of my activated thing, I have it right there. That map indicator that's there, I can click on that extend indicator, and I can change the symbol if I wanted like a nice red border or something like that. I could do all this kind of stuff. So then we have an indicator that sort of shows where one map is on the other, and you can manually draw the lines from it if you wanted to. Okay. Oops, I don't know why I was changing that. So the last thing I want y'all to see is how to export these things sort of permanently. There's a share button up here at the top that we haven't really messed with so much. This is where we export things. So you can either just capture it to the clipboard. That's going to be exactly what is right here. Maybe not super useful. We can also do this export layout. Sure, I change some symbol. So when we do export layout, we get a whole new tab over here. It's asking us what we want to export it as. You can do all sorts of things. This is an Adobe Illustrator file that you could edit as like a vector. Some of these other ones are as well. JPEGs, TIFFs, these are the high resolution ones that you'll probably use. This is going to tell you where it's going. So left there, layout 1. If we're showing a symbology, we want to do that. If we're showing a selection, we want to do that. If we want to clip to just the area that has stuff, so not be the full page, but in that case, it would be limited like a rectangle like that. We can do the select clip to graphics extent. We can do all sorts of other things, all sorts of things in here. Sometimes you'll export these things and you want it to actually be geo-referenced, and you can do that here. But in this case, it's not going to work because it's two different maps. So then when we hit export, it's going to export that thing. It'll take a second or two, but that's where we end up with the version of it that we're going to end up wanting to have for final projects, for that kind of thing. Once you create these things, you're going to do 3 of them for the final assignment. That's really basically all you need to do. All right, good luck. And as always, reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.